Hello, my name's Dr. Andrew Jaffrey. I'm a volunteer historian here in HMS Unicorn. And today I'd like to show you some artifacts from a German submarine that surrendered to the Allies aboard HMS Unicorn in Dundee in May 1945. We have here two ceremonial daggers complete with the Nazi regalia on them, and we also have some documentation including a naval signal pad signed by the commanding officer. As soon as the submarine, the U-boat, was alongside, it was boarded by Lieutenant Peter Bennett, one of the officers in Dundee Naval Base. He was in fact the commanding officer of HMS Ultimatum, a British submarine. He boarded the U-boat with four British ratings, two of whom were immediately sent below to stop the Germans scuttling their own submarine. There was then a surrender ceremony on the bridge of the U-boat, during which the German naval ensign was hauled down and the white ensign was hauled up in its place. The crew of the U-boat were assembled on the jetty alongside, and Peter Bennett then went below and inspected the submarine from stern to stern. He commented that the cleanliness of the U-boat left something to be desired, but he was even more alarmed when he discovered that there were two torpedoes still in their tubes in the bow of the boat, and that the only way of extracting them was either by firing them or by trimming the boat 10 degrees down by the head and sliding them out to land on the seabed. It was decided this wasn't a terribly good idea alongside the busy Eastern Wharf in Dundee. So Bennett then joined the party on the jetty and escorted the commanding officer, Oberleutnant Jobst, and the first lieutenant of the U-boat, Lieutenant Birch, along to HMS Unicorn, or as she was known at the time, HMS Cressy. And in this very cabin aboard Unicorn, the two German officers formally surrendered the submarine to the Royal Navy. In doing so, Oberleutnant Jobst signed the back of this naval message form, and he signed it Oberleutnant zur See Karl Jobst, Unterseeboot U2326, and dated it the 14th of May 1945. The Jobst and his first lieutenant were interrogated in this cabin by Captain William Kay, the commanding officer of HMS Unicorn at the time and the senior naval officer in Dundee. Of course, Kay did not speak German, and the two German officers did not speak English. So Kay was able to call on the services as interpreter of the commanding officer of the Dutch submarine flotilla in Dundee, Commander Jan van Dom. And in the famous photograph that often appears in the history of HMS Unicorn here, the two German officers are seen being led off Unicorn. This is about 11 o'clock in the morning on the 14th of May 1945. They're seen being led off down the gangplank by Commander van Dom with a well-armed Dutch submarine rating looking on in case there was any trouble, and the first lieutenant of the submarine, Lieutenant Birch, has just bumped his head. He's rubbing his head, having bumped it on the low sill over the entry port. The submarine was retained in Dundee for a few days. The torpedoes were got rid of by simple expedient of taking it out to sea and firing them into a British minefield, where they doubtless are still lying to this day somewhere near the Bell Rock. The submarine then made its way to the Allied assembly anchorage at Locharebel, and then was eventually handed over to the French Navy to allow them to use it for research purposes. Sadly, in 1946, U-2326, or as it was by then, N-17, sank during an exercise off the French naval base of Toulon, and 17 French sailors from the Marine Nationale lost their lives. She still lies there today as a war grave.